Yes, so this video is just going to be about an aspect of 504 GL and 505 that most people may not know about. So which might be a reason for you not to buy one. The reason why I'm doing this is I know since January this year till today, at least I can count like 7 persons that have contacted me seeking for an expert advice on whether to go for 504 or 505. They just needed the vehicle for whatever reasons, and which to go for, and the rest. So no, see, when you want to, so even though I know I've explained and advised based on the purpose they needed the either of these two vehicles for, um I just want to point out one of the things I know other people will benefit, even if they didn't have contact or are not willing to pay that fee. See, you have to 504 GL and 504 SR, GL, L, 2000. There, after GL, after that phase one, there were quite a number of other models, facelifted models, that came after GL. In fact, the point I don't even know between GL and SR whether both of them are phase one. Then later they now started to remodel like the 2000. I remember there was one that had the badge 2000, and the rest. There are so many of them, so many different body designs and the rest. But the interior remains same almost after that GM and the L. The rest had basically same interior. The only thing you might find is the instrument panel, maybe the speedometer. They change it a little. I think one has a white color. The rest, one has a fuel gauge. Some other model doesn't. Unlike the GL that has a fuel gauge and every other thing except tachometer. Okay, so GL body. When I'm saying GL, I'm talking about that phase one, as excluding L. But GL means TI and every other model produced in North America, specifically USA, or sold, not produced anyway, sold in US and then mostly Australia and other European countries. So their boot, the GL boot, and all those other models, they are just the same. Just consider it just the same vehicle, except the engine is now different. So when you come by GL, the boot is bigger than L, SR, GL, and every other model you find in Nigeria and some other developing countries. They are bigger. They look alike. That's the problem. Most people, when they look at 504, they assume they are everything. The body is the same. No, they are not. Yeah, the headlamp, the when you look at the vehicle, they all look alike, but from the inside, they are not the same. So the boot is different. It's bigger. The design, if you open the boot, you see the floor is even different. The fuel tank is different. So many things. So I can go on and on, but my point is GL boot is bigger. It can take more things than the SR. But the problem with the GL is that size is also a problem, in the sense that because it's very big and people always assume that 504 can carry any load, no matter the weight, as long as it can enter inside the boot. So when you load it like that, it will crack the boot, it will break the boot. Unlike the SR, Unlike the SR, I've yet to come across SR that break the way GL boot breaks. SR can carry as many as 10, even if the boot can't even close. As you are loading it, unless when you get a point, that it's no longer good for the vehicle. That's when you can say. But in terms of cracking, breaking, it doesn't. I knew at that time they were not doing that. Or at least I would say I've not come across one, except the ones that are rusted badly that there's a way you can load it, of course it will break. The GL boot breaks usually at the edge where there is this span that separates the interior and the boot. It's kind of pillar around them. That's where it usually breaks, and then from there it will show on the body of the car. But you first start from that pillar before it gets to the body. It's like when you crack there, if you keep using the vehicle, loading it without fixing it, eventually it will affect the exterior part of the car. So it will crack inside, not the outside part of the body of the car. So meaning if you are buying, when I talk about GL, because I know that GL also is not just Saloon. I think there's also station wagon GL. It's just that in Nigeria, I don't think they were sold. What you find mostly at that time in Nigeria, we are all Saloon, all GL, we are all Saloon. But I believe there are also station wagon or estate GL. So, but I'm referring to Saloon now. So they are not. I would advise, if what the purpose of buying a 504 is to be carrying heavy load, don't get a GL. It's going to defeat that purpose. Just forget it. Go for every other model, SR and the rest, L and every other one. Now, honestly, I don't know whether is it because the boot is bigger, that's why it's cracking, or just the design, because the GL body, the thickness is thicker than the SR. GL has a different body from the SR, and in terms of, I'm talking about the pan itself, that metal you see on the body of the car, that of GL is thicker. GL is heavier. It's heavier than the SR and everything. So I remember that time my GL then to do a body work, the thickness of the pan is it 16 gauge, while the SR 18. I'm trying to remember, this is how many decades ago. I remember at the point the floor, GL, when it comes to walls, it's like sugar and tea. The floor of my GL then, we are all rusted badly that at the point I could even see the ground. Though until GL the entire floor is locked. Yes, you see, they all feel, every other part it has a rock, just like having modern cars now, modern Peugeot car from 406 upwards, it looks like rock. You could call it rock, that kind of thing. So, but SR they don't have that, but the GL they have it. So that, but 505 also has that rock thing. So GL has that thing. So it's not like you're going to see. But if you ever have to, I remember that time mine. If for any reason I needed to remove that, I will see some places I can see the ground. It was that was dealt with it. So I needed to change the floor then, and then same thing. They told me for the SR and the rest, the pan you need for them is about 18 or so. By that of GL. I remember I went and bought one full sheet of pan. Then that time was like 1,000 something. So they said no, that's wrong. I had to take it back and added money and bought that of GL that was heavier and thicker. It was a new pan, new sheet of pan, something like that, very wide and big. So now they cut it into 4 pieces and now cut off the old floor and they welded it, on the chassis and the rest, including the body where there were, so I could go on. And my point is, it could be because of the pan. doesn't, I don't know, even though they are thicker, but they break easily. So it's possible that's why GL boots. I remember then, I think it was like 1999. That was one of the things my father told me when I took over the vehicle. He gave me the car. It wasn't like voluntary, so but I basically became the owner of the car. So he told me then be very careful with this boot. That one during when he was using the car, he has cracked like twice. So he showed me inside where they did the welding, and I think one of them said affected the outside. So I should be very careful the kind of things I carry. I shouldn't be looking at every other 504 carrying heavy load and think that GL will handle the same. No. Inside, yes. In the boot, no. Now, when I mean load, I'm not saying that you can't fill it up. But it depends on the weight of what you are dropping inside the boot. So that's the point. So of course you can put something lighter and it will fill up the boot. Sorry, the weight is not that much. It won't affect the boot. Which I eventually, while discussing the mechanics I was working with back then, they also, confirm what my father said then, So at that time too, I now learned about the 505 Saloon as well. So the 505 Saloon, the body is not as thick as the GL. The pan or whatever is not as thick as the GL. However, the boot is massive. It has very big boot, even bigger than every 504. However, you also what happens to GL boot also affects 505 Saloon. If you carry too much load, it will crack. So at that time, they were, I had like two mechanics were using then, So each time I go to those workshops, I'll be seeing, if I see 505 Saloon, you'll be seeing that crack. We're seeing it around there. Those that went and carried excess load, it will crack there. But all the 505 was aside G, I was seeing that there was no crack. But 505 was having that issue. So same goes with 505 Saloon. So anybody who is interested in 505 Saloon, know that you don't carry heavy load in the boot. Mine, my current 505, I do fill it up sometimes, but they are not heavy because I know that already. So I don't fill it with heavy stuff. So that's the point. So avoid 5GL and 505 Saloon. That's GL Saloon, 505 Saloon. Avoid them. If your intention is maybe carrying heavy load, this very, very has to be that big. I don't know. You know what you know, but I mean that heavy load. So just go for either SR 504 Saloon and Estate or Station Wagon, or every other model of 504 aside GL Saloon. Or if you must be 505, then get 505 Station Wagon or Estate, not Saloon. Because of course the station wagon, their boot are built strongly to be able to carry very heavy loads. So that one is covered. So for the Saloon, remember back then, forget that now Saloon has been turned into so many purposes. Back then, Saloon is actually meant for executive cars. Executive doesn't mean luxury. Executive is like, this corporate officer who works in the morning, carries, what's the name of that bag they used to carry then in the 70s and 80s? Suitcase, just carry a small suitcase, open his boot, drop it, go to his office, finish work. It's just, they are not meant to be carrying. Forget that Africa now turned them into a truck, basically, 504 and 505. saloons, but they are not. That's the purpose of saloon is not for just for maybe a family, family car, just carry a few things. If you don't want to carry load, that's why they make station wagon and estate. If your intention is not to carry heavy load, maybe a family for family purpose, but you need to be carrying stuff, or for commercial purpose, then you go for station. But the saloon and this thing, they are not for that. So that's why they are built. They didn't actually build them that strong, even though they are very bigger than others. 504 saloons, models aside the GL, TR, and the rest. But they can't handle that. If you put it too much, it will break. So don't make that mistake and buy and then realize because it won't be easy to get rid of them and look for another one. Getting a 504 in good condition now, it's not that gonna be easy. Same thing with 505. So if you are looking for one, at least you can focus on, what you are looking for. So no matter how exciting it will be to see a GL, but understand that if you are buying it, then you have to respect that flaws. It is a flaw, it is an issue from new. So like I always tell people, there's no car is perfect, no matter what you do. Be for every other, it's just that people don't pay attention. They all look at everybody's using it, it must be good, everybody praising it. Get into detail, you will see issues the car have as in its own problems. That's how it is. But people always like, no, don't tell me all those ones, tell me the one. And when you go in, you start seeing, then you start complaining. When you know all these things on time, when you get into it, you will be taking unawares if it comes up. And then it will help you to now know how to manage and use the vehicle so that those issues won't come up. Or even if they are there, they won't, escalate into something you can't be able to handle. Now, some of the issues that 505 have, like for example, my own 505, how many years have I used the car? It hasn't braked. But because I know, so I'm preventing it from happening by not carrying so heavy load. My 406, I can carry anything. That's the kind of load I carry in that car. Likewise, my 407 coupe. Likewise, my 607. But not my 505. Because I don't want to have that issue. Because the problem is once it crack, what it means, once it break, the boot will pull down a little. What you are looking at the picture now, you see it will shift down a little, as if you want to separate from the rest of the body of the car. So we now have to look for a welder that will now cut off pan, use something, push up the boot again, weld it together. So it will not make you won't be able to carry any, even no matter how light the load is going to be, you won't even want to put it. Because over time, that place they did the weld will start rusting. So it won't be as strong as it was when they first did the repair. So that harm has been done. So avoid it, prevent it from even so that you won't see any crack there. I'm telling you this as someone who has been using as an experienced 504, 505 user in the 80s and 90s. I started using these cars as I started driving, took over the ownership basically 1980. 98. There was a car in the family I started driving in the 80s, late 80s. Then took over, like I said, the GL was just like given to me in the late, about 1998. That's when I basically became the owner. I started using it till 2008. Left it when I moved to Abuja, so I just left the car. That was 2007. Until 2012, where my father called and said, see, this car is here, we're rusting, nobody's using it, even though it was in good condition when I left. Because what happened was there, I converted it to 505. So, I left and he was using it, but at the point, he couldn't handle it anymore. I was the only one that could handle it, which was even why he gave me the car, because at the point, he just couldn't handle. So I took over and started using the car. until I left. And so it was sold in 2012 in the body of 505. I told him just sell it off. At that time, I already had plans to. I've gotten my 505 here anyway, so what's the point? So I just want to let you people know, these are the things. I know some people will wonder, what is who is talking about 505 and 505 today? You're not a car person doesn't mean every other person is not. It's like you. There are people like me that exist in Nigeria. People who actually love cars for what they are, not what people want them to be driving. If I follow what everybody is, what people would like me to be driving, I won't be driving Peugeot cars. I won't be driving V6. I won't even be driving manual. But there are people who actually, But the funny thing in the world is, if you are not a celebrity, nobody will consider that what you are doing is wrong. But if a celebrity does that, or Dangote, look at what's that his name? What's that his senator's name? Dino Melai. Look at his 404. Basically like brand new. But in that case, everybody will be praising him that 404 is good. But if it's now another person who doesn't have money up to Dangote, that has interest in owning a 404, people will start laughing. Which was what they did when I wanted to buy a 505. Everybody I told was laughing and making mockery of me. Why will I buy a 505 for a young man like me? What's my business? He said everybody is driving this other Japanese car, doing this. You're talking about 505. Even Peugeot in the first place. Which village did you come from? Grow up. So anyway, I just to encourage, honestly, the 504 is 504, 505. They are just different experiences. See, everybody driving new car, you won't really understand. Unless somebody who have used it before, you now switch to modern car. These are just different driving experience. As in, it's like as you are driving it, you like in a different world at that time. Personally, there are cars that like 504s, especially the ones with less powered engine, like 1.8. I personally wouldn't want to have a power steering on them. Likewise, 505. If it's not 2.0, don't bother with power steering, because power steering will drop too much power. Power steering actually consumes power from the engine. It reduces engine power. That's what people don't know, except the ones that are now electric. But those mechanical ones that runs the pump, the power steering pump are controlled by or driven by the crankshaft. It actually reduces engine power. So instead of, if the engine power is let's say 100 horsepower or whatever, new meter torque, it will probably suck about 5 HP or less or more from getting to the wheel. So instead of you to be enjoying that 100 horsepower, it will now be about 90 horsepower that the engine, not even though the engine is up, but it will allow that power to get to your wheel. So you won't be able to experience it on the vehicle. So knowing that all those 504, 505, they don't really have that much power per se. So that's why they didn't put all those things. Though at that time, it was optional. Only 504 that had power steering then was like TI and few other models. GI didn't have power steering. TI had power steering because it had a little bit more power than GL. So they added it. Likewise, 505 wasn't all 505 that had power steering then in Nigeria was SR. SR had 2.0 liter engine. Likewise, Evolution, they are all 2.0 liter engine. But some of the other models like GR, I think GR was 1.3, I can't remember. So it wasn't all of them that have power steering. So before you put power steering on your 504 or GL, if you didn't come with it, you better check the power, what engine is there. If you put it on an engine that is 1.6, 1.8, you will enjoy that vehicle. You will enjoy the car. Manual steering is not even hard. I mean, back then, nobody was even complaining. It's not hard. The only thing, the way they are meant is you don't turn them when the vehicle is stationary. That's when it becomes safe. But once the car start moving, no matter how small, no matter how low the movement or the speed is, once it takes off, it starts to move. You turn the steering, it moves freely. So there's nothing wrong, self, with using manual steering. It's not like, I don't know, people find it bad, feel it's bad. No, it's not. Likewise, AC. I also said that there are some engine in 504 that if you put on the AC, it will drag the engine down well, very well. So the only 504 and 505 advice, if you want to put AC, are like the 1.8, 2.0, 2.0. So if you want to use a 1.8, fine, nothing wrong. Only that expect when you are on highway, you're not gonna enjoy the car in terms of movement. So unless you'll be doing it on and off, it will drag the power down. But doesn't mean some had. I know SR505. I think it had AC. I can't remember. So it's not like it's going to affect it that much, But compared to the GL 2.0504, yeah, the AC won't really affect them that much. It will, but not that much compared to the one that is no go area. Don't even bother. Is the 504 with 1.6 liter engine. No, don't. That one will consume, as in it will not consume. It will drag the vehicles very slow. Okay. So if you're interested, at least you know what to go for now. And so hope this video helps.